of course, our guest of honor tonight, the Black Phantom. Oh, no. Okay, that didn't go over very well. Gangrel is with us tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. How you guys doing?
Oh, we can't complain at all. So when's the last time you've been to Indiana to...
I think it's been, I went through Indiana. I think it was a year ago. I was doing some shows in Chicago, outside Chicago, in and out of Illinois. So, there might have been one show in Indiana. I'm not sure.
We've really been looking forward to this. Zane and I will be going up to Fort Wayne. We're based in the Indianapolis area. We'll be heading up to Fort Wayne to see you here in a few weeks. I can't wait to meet you in person. But I guess before we get into anything, I always ask everybody, what in the world got you into the crazy business in the first place?
Crazy business of pro wrestling. I guess it kind of chose me. I was actually 16, just getting ready to turn 17, and I was looking through the paper for a better job. I was working construction. I was looking for, and I saw an ad that said, "Be a pro wrestler. You know, make money on the weekends fighting." And so, being the whiskey tango redneck that I am, I went down there thinking I was going to go down there, fight some people, and make some money there. And it turns out it was a pro wrestling school, and about a week or 2 weeks into it, I wanted to quit because it wasn't what I thought it was. I went down there, honestly, I thought there was some legitimacy to it. I thought you were going to fight a little bit. I thought maybe the main events were, worked or something like that. But so I went to quit, and Rusty Brooks and Boris Malenko, they both, they talked me out of it. And from that point on, I was wrestling matches 3 months later. I was doing jobs for WWF with David Heath, and the rest is history. I've been wrestling ever since. It's the only job I've had.
You were actually hooked up with the Malenkos, weren't you?
What's that?
Said you were actually hooked up with the Malenkos in your training, weren't you?
Right. Boris Malenko, the dad, trained me.
That's right.
Dina Joe's father trained me with a fellow named Rusty Brooks. So I would train down in Fort Lauderdale with Rusty and Boris during the weekdays, and then Boris would go home to Tampa, Florida. And then I would travel up and do shows on the weekend and train with Boris on a Saturday, and then on Sunday I would train for what they called shoot wrestling back then, which is like this mixed martial arts with UWF. I would train on Sundays with Gotch's guys, a lot of the Japanese boys they'd have in from Japan. So I train there on Sundays, and that's how I came into the job.
Now, Gangrel, I'm an older fart. I'm actually older than you are, so I remember your days back in the Black Hearts days.
Oh yeah.
Wrestling was a lot of fun back then because the mystery and the aura of it was just so much different, obviously, than it is today. I mean, you'd hear about, the Road Warriors coming up. You'd read the magazines of Pro Wrestling Illustrated and The Wrestler and all those things, and you'd read about these teams you haven't seen, like the Road Warriors, or where you see Bam Bam Bigelow or Lex Luger, and they're getting all this press. But I remember a tag team called the Blackhearts that were getting a lot of press back then, and I couldn't wait to see them. Tell me a little bit about your time during the Blackheart days, and I guess for people who don't were a tag team wrestler for quite a while, did you enjoy it more than singles wrestling, or what did you think of tag team wrestling?
I love tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is I enjoy it. I enjoy it more. Singles is fun. It's only you, the other guy, and the referee. It's three of you in a match. But when you have tag team, you got five guys out there with the referee. Things should go crazy. But I really enjoy tag team wrestling. The Black Hearts came along and started is kind of a joke. Bruce Hart had me and this partner of mine called Tom Nash. Tom Nash went to Calgary originally to wrestle as Tom the Punisher Nash, and he went up there and fell a victim to all the ribbing of Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith, and all the Stampede Rivers up there in Stampede. So he came back. He didn't want to go back by himself. So he talked to me into riding up to go, be a tag team. And he had a good mind for the job. And, he was talented, but unfortunately he could never keep his mouth shut. That's why I always got in trouble. But we went up there, and we were sitting there with Bruce, and Bruce was like, I got to try to figure something out for you guys. But Bruce is a river, so he talks us into, like his wife had a sewing room, so he talks us into putting these black spandex on. The sun's sitting, so it's dusk. Can't see out of these masks at night. And he starts throwing a football, and Tom, my partner, he's just like steady trying to catch the ball with his face, obviously, because Bruce is just beaming him in the face. And I don't know, but that rib turned out to end up being a Blackheart, because he says, well, that really looks good, this cool character with the black mask. And we were supposed to be illegitimate sons of Stu Hart, so we were like bastard Hart.
The bastard children, right?
Yeah, bastard children of Stu Hart. He went out on the road, met some friendly ladies, and we were the product of that. Not Helen, but some nice lady in some town like Regina or Moose Jaw or something. I don't know. So we were
Was it Bruce Hart who came up with that idea?
Of course it was Bruce.
That's what I thought.
Everything's a rib of Bruce, but I learned so much with him, I learned so much under him with all the ribs. So we became the Black Hearts, and then from Stampede, I didn't stay very long with Stampede. I was only up there just under, not even 2 months quite. I got mad at my partner because he was running his mouth, and he was telling on people that he shouldn't be telling on, and I just seen nothing but bad coming. So I already had a kid at home, so I was young. I just turned 18, I think. I don't even know if I was 18 yet. I caught a Greyhound bus back home, and then I thought that was the end of the Black Hearts, but then we kept getting a lot of press, and then we ended up going to, like, All Japan as a team. So
right.
We did a couple tours of All Japan, but we also, in the States, we worked with Joe Goodhart's Tri-State Wrestling Alliance and stuff like that. So we got a lot of press in the Northeast, in Philly area, and New York and stuff, working as a Black Hearts. But, I did 2 tours in Japan with him, and then we had a falling out, and he replaced me with another guy. I quit. He fired me. It was mutual. And, so he got another partner named Dave Johnson to fill in for me, and they did one more tour. I guess they got beat up really bad. They didn't even finish the tour, and then they came back and went to Memphis from there, and then they had like a month run with the Cole Twins in WCW, so that was not me in Memphis as a Black Heart or WCW. I went down to Puerto Rico when I stopped tagging them as a Black Heart, started doing the vampire character, which started out as Vampire Was Fat, then it became the Vampire Warrior. Later on, to go on throughout the years in '98 to become Gangrel.
So the WCW version of the Night of the Black Hearts did not include you. That was Dave, right?
Yeah, that was not me. No. I stress that so much sometimes, because I remember watching that on TV going, oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Will somebody work with somebody in that match?
But you did have a cup of coffee in WCW and ECW. Tell us a little bit about those experiences. So didn't you have a cup of coffee in ECW and WCW?
Well, yeah, I guess you could call it a cup of coffee. I was on my way to Memphis in '93, and there was open tryouts for WCW, and I was just going up. I was actually driving somebody up there, and they were going to catch a ride back. I was literally on my way to go to Memphis to work, and they said, "Hey, kid, you want to get in the ring?" And everybody brung their matches, so everybody showed up with a match, and so they were well prepared, all these guys. And I was like, no, but somehow they talked me into getting in the ring, and I did a match, and they actually wanted me to, out of that group of people, all the people that are there, they wanted to hire me, but I said I was already going to Memphis. They wanted to send me to the power plant, so I went on to Memphis. I did Memphis, and then I came home, and then I went to the power plant like 7 months later after my Memphis stint there, and it was good. You have to learn a lot of lessons when you're a kid. So when I was there, I got a little bit of a big head. Not really. I was a chubby kid. I was always chubby, so I started losing weight in Memphis and all that. So I ended up in the power plant. And I went through all the squats, the 500 squats, the 300 push-ups, with Sarge yelling, puking in trash cans, the whole full Monty that you heard about back there in the day. And I did all that, and then I actually signed a year contract. And I think it was Oldie was there, and I signed a contract. And then the next day, I was trying to figure out why I was in the power plant, because they had all these muscle guys. They couldn't even tie up. I was just getting beat to death by all these big bastards. And I said, why am I here? And they go, because you're fat, kid. We had to get your ducks in a row. And I got so offended, I actually quit, went home. And it took me forever. Yeah, what was I thinking? I don't know. They were grooming me for the Pittman spot, too, the Code Red. They had me working the arm bar and everything. I've been on the road. I hadn't been home yet from Memphis. It's like the longest stint that I've stayed away from home, 7, 8 months. I was going on almost 9, and from family and everything. And I don't know what I was thinking, and made a huge mistake. And I left, and it took me forever to get back there and to even just do jobs there. So back in the Universal days, they finally had me. I was allowed to come back and start working some TV match enhancement matches or job matches as David Heath there. So,
and I remember them.
What's that?
I remember the David Heath matches. I said, "There's the vampire." No, that's not the Vampire Warrior. He's David Heath.
Right? Yeah. That was. I worked Malenko and Mysterio and Scotty Riggs. I had a lot of fun matches. But it is what it was. And I did my job. And at the same time, I was still doing jobs, just started doing jobs, started getting in shape and learning diets and stuff. That it wasn't just a gym, what a diet was. You know, I was changing my weight around again. I was getting in better shape slowly. And then I started doing jobs as the Black Phantom, the WWF. And I was they would just fly me into all the TVs just to do, dark matches. And then they told me I had to make a choice. You know, I could do two companies. So I stayed with WWF, but then ECW had said they wanted to use me. And then, so I ended up going to ECW, and I thought that was going to work out, but it didn't work out. That wasn't a good match for me. It's like, and, me and Luna were going through a lot of hard times and stuff like that. So it was a lot of back and forth. So it didn't work out. And WWF actually got mad at me for going to ECW because they were trying to fly guys in on a Saturday instead of like Monday morning or Sunday night. It was conflicting with the ECW shows, and I chose ECW because I thought, well, this is a bigger opportunity maybe to get a push or something like that here. But it turned out to be like more of a giant rib, but I weathered the storm and ended up, selling them on the whole vampire thing and ended up in WWF.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We're talking to Heroes and Legends wrestling star Gangrel. He'll be joining the Fan Fest on Saturday, September 13th at the Fort Wayne Fun Dome at 2 o'clock p.m. If you're in the Great Lakes area, by all means, come over to the show. It's promising to be a great one. We were at Fan Fest number 3, and 4 is shaping up to be the best of all. Let's kick it on over to the bearded wonder himself, Zane Payton.
Hi, Mr. Heath. Very nice to talk with you tonight. You have a passing resemblance to someone that shares your last name. Are you familiar with the band Reverend Horton Heat?
What's that?
Are you familiar with the band Reverend Horton Heat?
No.
Oh, they're a psychobilly band, and the lead singer's name is Jim Heath, and you guys actually favor each other a little bit. So Google him and see if he's a long-lost cousin of yours.
Oh, I will, because I was only hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying, so I'll have one of you guys, and you can send it to me when we get up the air, and I'll Google it, and I'll check it out.
Sure. And at the time that the Gangrel character took off, I was actually working at a Hot Topic, and how much money did you end up spending at those stores? Because, I know that I sold a lot of gimmicks that you wore there.
Yeah, that was before Hot Topic was real mainstream. It was still a bit different back then. And man, those white puffy shirts I went through, they were like $38 a pop. And I finally had to cut the Hot Topic stores out and go right to the factory at one point because I was just running through everything, the pants, the shirts, everything. Hot Topic was my main source of vampire stuff there, the clothing.
Oh, definitely. And going along with that, how much blood what did they end up calling it on TV? Viscous substance.
Fluid. Hello?
Where did you guys get that supplied from?
I only heard bits and pieces of it. You're breaking up, but if you ask me where did the bloodbath come from, kind of me and Edge at the same time we had came in and said, "Hey, did you see that movie Blade?" And he's like, "Yeah, I checked it out." I said, "You see the bloodbath thing?" He goes, "That's exactly what I was thinking." So we kind of stole it from one of the first scenes in the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes, where they were partying in a warehouse, and then the lights went out and music went crazy and blood was flashing and blood came from the ceiling. So we kind of took it from there.
Excellent. I'm going to kick it back over to Rick, and I'm going to try figuring out my issues on my side. So I'm going to kick it back over to Rick.
Yeah, it could be me too. I have no idea, but cool.
So when you started working Gangrel with Edge, in a million years, did you have an inkling he would be where he is at today?
Absolutely. I mean, I was quite aware where he was going from the minute that I came in because they were looking for some way to bring him in, and it was basically made to me that it was my job to, because I knew all the older guys from being around so many years already, working overseas, doing Japan tours, people don't realize I've done like 18 tours in Japan, before I went to WWE.
Right.
Australia, Malaysia, Singapore. So I worked with a lot of the older guys. I knew them. Being married to Luna, I knew all the other guys too. So I've been around a lot. So it was my job. It was made clear to me. It was to bring him in and transition him in without any issues because he was one of the guys in the future. So So I knew it, and he had the talent. Christian surprised me. He's hung in here that long, but he calls one of the best of anybody in the business. You know.
Well, it's definitely a cool time in wrestling, watching the Brood kicking into gear, and then hooking up with the Ministry. What do you feel about your time with the Undertaker? What did you learn from him in your time in the business with him?
I learned that time was death for the Brood. Yeah. Well, we go in there. The Brood thing was never really supposed to get over. Like I said, it was just a thing for Edge and then possibly Christian, but mostly Edge. And but it took off. The stuff was going good, and then all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we're gonna put you in the Ministry." And I told Edge, I said, "That's not good." He goes, "Why?" I go, "You'll see." And then we got in the Ministry, and then we're supposed to be villains, the heels, and we'd all go out on the stage, and they would boo the Undertaker, but the Brood would be sitting stage left down there, and the people would just start chanting Brood, 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 Brood. They just liked it so much. I go, "Oh, this isn't going to work." And then not even 3 weeks later, they said, "Well, we think we're going to have you feud the Ministry." And I said, "Well, there goes the Brood." It's done.
Yep.
And sure enough, they dismantled slowly after that. It just been around.
Everybody wants to know about your teeth. Are they really sharpened?
No, not anymore. I did have porcelain fangs bonded in for the longest time prior to WWF. Vince McMahon actually told me to get rid of the fangs, get rid of the mullet hawk I had, the mohawk back in the day, grow my hair in, lose some weight, and he would give me a job. I think that's why they actually let me get away with wearing the Black Phantom thing, because I had the fangs. They were shoot at one time. So they probably said, "Oh, this kid's crazy. Just let him wear a hood," So when I got to WWE, I didn't have the fangs anymore, and nothing else. They told me they were never going to use the vampire character, but they gave Vince Russo control for a while, like a brief month or something, and that's when I was already under the contract. But they didn't know what to do with me. But that's when they decided to use the whole vampire thing and to bring Edge in, do this whole deal. That was Vince Russo.
I'll tell you what, I was really excited to see that. I mean, when you came in, the Vampire Warrior thing kind of got lost when you went to WCW, and I said, "Man, I hope it's not done for you," because I thought that was a pretty cool gimmick. Then you and Luna came up with that together, right?
What, the vampire? Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We were sitting, and it was like I think it was 89 or 90, early 90s. We're sitting there and watching the movie The Lost Boys, and I go, "Wow, that'd be really cool to be a vampire and wrestle." And I mean, you just get your rear end kicked day in, day out. You don't have to win. You just got to be cool about doing it. And she goes, yeah. And I go, "It'll never work though." I was trained, by the old ways. It's old school. I said, "That'll never work." She goes, "No, it will." So we went for it, but I did spend the first, 8 years of it trying to convince everybody that of the Brood type of characters, like the Lost Boy type characters, were when I went to Puerto Rico with it, they just wanted it to be this bloodthirsty monster with blood everywhere every night, everybody's bleeding everywhere. And then in Memphis, Lawler in '93 wanted to, he was into Bela Lugosi and all that, so he wanted that same type of monster type of characters and so on. Mostly everybody wanted them. I kept trying to push him. No, they're cool. They're just cool. They're not going to go away. Vampires are cool. You can beat them up, as long as they dress cool and they're modern and they laugh and they have fun up there, it'll work. And then Bruce Pritchard, and Tom Pritchard, and Vince Russo, they started getting the idea. They said, "I think we're digging what you're laying down there. I think we're getting it, And then Vince Russo finally, being a big Kiss fan, I was a Kiss fan and stuff like that. And it just kind of on the same page for a lot of different things and ideas, and it worked out.
Need to come to town. Kiss is on its way to town, I think. What, next week, Zane?
No, they played this past Friday.
What's that, Zane?
They played this past Friday.
No, I missed it. Called them the last tour, but I missed them this round.
Yeah, I missed it too. I was on the road when it came through L.A. here.
So what do you think when they try to do other vampire gimmicks? I mean, obviously Kevin Thorne's from Indianapolis, and I guess, obviously he was doing the vampire thing too. Does it bug you, or does it? Are you just kind of impressed that they would even do something like that? Or?
Well, it did bug me, but that thing with Kevin Thorne is they hired me back twice, and they hired me back at that period too, right at the Kevin Thorne period. They hired me back when they were going to do the ECW there, and they told me I was coming in and I was going to have this faction, and I was going to have Shelly Martinez and Kevin Thorne under me. type of cult of vampires I was going to lead, and they hired me, and they told me to see me at the next TV. 8 months later, they called me up to release me. Like, they went and put Kevin Thorne on, and then when Johnny called me, he said, "Well, it didn't really work." I said, "Well, because you went backwards, but whatever, you guys know best. Thank you for the payday for 8 months," and I just took the money and ran.
All right. ZP, what you got for Gangrel, buddy?
Well, you had mentioned The Lost Boys, which is a great vampire movie. What are some of your other favorite vampire and or horror movies?
Near Dark, you know, I still like From Dusk Till Dawn, even though I don't know, not the new whatever Ray series, but the original Dusk Till Dawn and stuff like that. And it's pretty much any vampire movie. I've watched all three of The Lost Boys. But the first one's the best one. Near Dark. I said Near Dark. Near Dark. I don't know if you've seen Near Dark. Fright Night. The original Fright Night.
From Dusk Till Dawn is one of my favorite movies, and I was so lucky that I went in and saw it before I knew that it had anything to do with vampires, because when it turns like that, that's just the coolest scene ever.
Oh, yeah. Then I watched this El Rey, and they have like a series of Dusk Till Dawn now, and it turns out to be something totally different than vampires. It's really bizarre. So that's why I said the Dusk Till Dawn, the movie, not that El Rey. There's an El Rey network, and they got their own version of Dusk Till Dawn. It's like a TV series, and it turned out to be like reptilians and stuff. I don't know. It's all bizarre. But I like the vampire. That was cool. It was a Selma Hayek there when she was dancing, and she was hot.